Hello, and welcome back to yet another Valorant match, and we are going to be following PNW one more time as they are now going to face Ball State. In this game, I am anticipating is going to be a doozy.
Well, I mean, again, less of following and more of staying in the same place as we're just staying in Ascent again. So it's less of, I mean, we're following we're following the team. We're not exactly following them to any new location, although Ascent, definitely, I think, a strong suit of many teams when it comes down to what map you love and, you know, what roster you can bring to that map. A lot of the times what comes to mind first is typically Ascent.
Right.
You can have Ascent, there's Bind. Those are pretty much the main two that you'll see a lot.
I went back there and I begged them on my knees to not make me cast Ascent again, because that is the only Valorant map that I have been able to cast today. And they looked me in the eyes and they shut the door on me.
They looked you in the eyes and they said, by the way, it's Ascent.
Yep. And here we are. But you know what? Who knows? PNW's evolving, Ball State's evolving. I don't know what anyone's gonna play.
I mean, so we've had quite a bit of a long break compared to the last time we've seen Ball State. I know it's not like they haven't been playing. We have been seeing, I know we took a break for them to go into CVAL, I believe?
Yes.
Yeah, so we did take a break. We haven't seen them play the teams here, although they haven't been doing nothing that whole time. They have been keeping up, you know, with their, they've been keeping up with their skills, keeping up with their, you know, keeping that warmth going.
Right.
Although sometimes what you can have happen, and what I've talked to the teams about a little bit, is if you play too much, you can have a little bit of burnout. And so it kind of comes with that experience of being in the losers bracket compared to, you know, the pressure that brings, as well as if you play too much, you know, you may experience a little bit of burnout, especially if all you do is play Ascent the whole time.
It can definitely, well, and you know, that's real, and it can definitely happen, especially for a game like Valorant, which is kind of, you know, what I consider Valorant and Counter-Strike to be, those are two games that are very unrewarding to players. It's no matter how hard, no matter how hard you climb, no matter how hard you carry, no matter what you do, a lot of the times you'll still you'll still feel defeat, and it's terrible, especially when you're aspiring to be, you know, the star that you want to be. Yeah. But it's one of those games that you cannot win by yourself. You have to have a solid team surrounding you, and if one of those players is not on, it can come back to bite you.
I mean, especially when it comes down to something like Valorant, the team play is, like you said, it's incredibly important, because you go in there, and a lot of times you plan this beforehand. You go into, you know, you spend weeks training, you spend months training, you spend, heck, an entire semester just training for something.
Like a year, man.
Yeah, for something like this. And
I'm still bad.
Somebody like Ian, who's been on a part of the team for 3 years now, you've had all that time to train with different people, you've had all that time to play with different people, and what it all comes down to is, you know, where does that bring you in the long run, and what have you learned from your time of, you know, practice it, your time of learning, and, you know, your time of actually progressing through.
So that being said, you've mentioned Ian before. Is Ian the IGL of the current roster?
That's a good question. I'm
not quite sure.
I couldn't answer that question. No, I don't think so. I know Ian has been there the longest, although I'm unsure. I'm unsure if So if he's not the IGL, he is definitely the emotional support. Well, I mean, the emotional support is definitely the coaches of these teams. I was talking with Ball State's team, and they have the coach. He's not here today, but he is with them on Discord. And so a lot of times when they call a timeout, they're talking. The first thing he says is, okay, so, and then he continues on with his sentence. And so you have a lot of times, you can really you could turn it into something that's kind of like a laughing matter. You kind of want to, you know, sit back, relax a little bit, and you want to actually, you know, regroup, get back into it, instead of always being so tense. Yeah.
Reset your mental. Yeah. If you continue to keep going, as we were just talking about with the burnouts, it can get really taxing, it can get really tiring, and you don't quite play at the same performance you were at before. And from the looks of it, this is a very interesting comp.
Yeah, we do see on Ball State side a Sova, a Jet, a KO, an Omen, and a KJ.
And on the side of PNW, we have Harbor, Sky, Phoenix, Raze, and Viper.
I don't know if we've seen Phoenix yet tonight.
No, I believe this is first time that Phoenix has touched the arena.
Phoenix is definitely, he's an interesting pick. I say this with love in my heart. I think he's more or less of a solo player. You have him, his flashbangs are less controllable and more, you full send it around a corner. And a lot of times, especially with his healing factor, if he's standing in fire of his own, he can heal. Although if he uses it not sparingly enough, you can sometimes accidentally hurt your teammates. I learned this the hard way when I was playing Valorant for the first time. I picked Phoenix, and then I sent my wall out to heal, and then probably damaged all of my team for about 50 health. So you kind of have to pick and choose, but I imagine these kinds of players will not have that issue.
And that'll definitely happen. Well, and for me, not so much love, but I am definitely not a fan of Phoenix, but I'm excited to see how Void manages to utilize him this time around. From the looks of it, we are now having PNW entering the site, and they are taking it. Omen does manage to get a shorty kill as he escapes into lane, and it gets away. The bomb is now down, and we are on a 4v4 retake, where Ball State is going to have to retake the site from PNW.
Ball State is definitely not straying far away from retakes of site. We know a lot of the times they will play for a site retake if they know that, hey, they might get anything better out of this. As I say this, they immediately take down site there, finishing off that round as Ball State just jumps onto the point and killing every single member of Purdue Northwest, getting the defuse off relatively quickly. That shorty came in.
What was that? That was 3 shorty kills right there? He's definitely utilizing his smokes and sitting inside them in a good spot. From what I saw there, he managed to catch one of the players' lane, and then he even managed to jump into lane. He didn't even have to use an Omen TP, no util. All he used was a smoke and sat on the corner of it.
Well, because the entirety of Purdue Northwest team, they think that we saw them. They
looked like a clear site.
Yeah, they were spraying down through the smoke as he just jumped right around them. They all went down back towards site to try and take site, and so it just gave Omen a perfect opportunity. He didn't need to waste any utility, and regardless, if he didn't even have any utility left, he didn't need to use it at all. So when you come down to it, that was kind of just a misplay on Purdue Northwest's part. They just took the site too fast, and they possibly could have gotten a pick that, could have saved members in the long run.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and from now, it looks like there's a gigantic default going on here. And it looks like Ball State is going to be picking off 2 of Purdue Northwest members, and now we are down to a 5v3 with Ball State in the lead, and we just lost Sky. And we are now looking at what is going to be the next round for Ball State. Unless Viper manages to make some kind of miracle play, which is not going to happen today, as TN takes down Vlad, winning another round for Ball State.
I especially love what TN has to bring to the table. When you pick somebody like Jet, you need to be absolutely precise with both your movement and your accuracy. Her ult especially, if you can hit those headshots, it is a one-shot guarantee. So honestly, if you're gonna pick Jet, you may as well just pick up the Sheriff at the same time, because if you can hit those headshots already, why not just pick up a gun with better precision? And compared to the Classic, you just get more utility out of it, because what you get in the long run is if you hit that headshot, instead of the Classic taking 2 with a little bit of armor, you could just one-shot instead. And so that utility comes in the long run, and it's a simple weapon choice.
Absolutely. And I mean, one of the best ways to utilize Jet is with her dash. And as you were just mentioning, that Sheriff is lethal. Soja does manage to take her down and get the trade, and it looks like PNW is going to start making their way into sight. That's actually a really good molly as it pushes Soja off position. He is caught. They know that there's somebody dice. KJ does get down, but she does get traded. Choku taking Quicks out of the picture. We are now down to a 2v2. PNW needs this round. Nobody wants to start it off 0-3.
We know the bomb is down on site, and currently what Purdue Northwest is trying to do is try to secure the site as fast as possible. They are unsure where the KJ ended up going, and now with the Omen smoke behind them, they have nothing else to do but possibly look behind them and see that they could see them there. At this point, Choku now trying to hold down that door as Omen quickly tries to rotate onto site with the spike now going down. The door does go down as Rebo picks up one onto Soja and another one onto Void, finishing the round with a second defuse for Ball State.
Right, and now they're entering this game with a nice and healthy 3-0 for Ball State, and it is looking really good in their favor right now. it looks like there was some kind of mishap with the comms there, or maybe they just could not tell where they got killed from. They weren't ready for the Yeoman Flake.
Well, I think what happened there was you had more or less of complete, you were unaware of how the site was actually controlled. You heard the KO up top on Heaven, and so all you had to do was possibly check out and see if he was still up there. We saw 2 flashbangs from the Phoenix get wasted. Both of his utility there trying to, possibly get the KO out of that position, which by the time he started doing that, KO had already rotated back towards the door.
It's already long gone. Right. Well, it looks like we're going into this next round. We have a interesting Viper default wall. It's a little bit different than before. Oh, and Void taking a headshot to start it off with his Sheriff. Omen's getting really, really frisky with this, and he does get taken down by Void, who is now showing us what he can do on Phoenix as he manages to get a weapon and back out. That is huge for PNW right now.
Something that is strong with the possible flashbangs that we could see from a member of the team like Sky for PNW is the fact that it is a rechargeable ability. As I say this, Choku gets one, although is immediately taken down by, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that.
Void.
No, not Void. It was like Dorito or something.
Oh, yeah, that was Dorito.
Okay.
Specifically Cool
just
Ranch.
double checking.
Specifically Cool Ranch. If it's not Cool Ranch, it's not Dorito.
Dorito Cool Ranch. All right, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, if you want to call him Cool Ranch, you can do that too. That's what we call him.
Ball State is now in a similar position to last time there. They're trying to hold down that door while they're keeping 2 of PNW's teammates trying to watch for that Heaven play. Although they are unknown if they're going to be up there yet. They come right around the corner. Ian gets one. He takes down Soja. Although Dorito takes down Frago. It's now a 1v1 for Ian. Although Dorito finishes off the round to secure the first round for PNW.
That was a very, very good round from PNW, especially from Void, who managed to walk his way into mid, take out Jet, and then catch Omen, who unfortunately happened to mishap his TP and got stuck in mid for an easy frag from the Sheriff.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, we saw the Phoenix utilize that kind of solo play mentality in that the way he used his flashbangs that round. He kind of sent them around the corner and then peeked, and while they were turning around, he got a nice headshot onto the Sky, and then just followed up as the Omen mishaps with the teleport. He was able to pick up a second kill for PNW, which may have ultimately actually won them that round.
Right. Well, I think that definitely those first 2 picks were huge. We have a Phoenix ult going into the site, and they now know where Sova was sitting. He's gonna have to reposition himself. And PNW Dorito has now picked up a shot on Choku, and Sova is now taking down Quicks, and Void getting the trade on that. They are now in sight. They figure somebody's still back there, and they are correct as KJ is now back, but unfortunately gets traded to Dorito, taking her down, and the bomb is down for PNW with 3 players remaining. But see, one of the things that really helps out Ball State here is they still have control of smokes. But on the side of PNW, they have 2 controllers still alive and still kicking. And it looks like Ball State Jet does not have a lot of HP remaining. But she does have an op.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that is not an op, by the way.
That's not, is that Marshall?
The Rebo has the op. The Omen.
Oh!
Yeah, not the Jet. The Omen has the op.
There we go.
Yeah.
Did they trade?
No, they did not.
Oh, interesting.
At this point, we do see that she's kind of down behind the site, behind the wall there. They try to get away, although they jump right around the corner. That blast pack gets right behind TN, jumping through the smoke and ultimately, securing that round. That's another one for PNW, and they're slowing down the momentum of Ball State in this scenario. Although Ball State, again, what we have learned is when you win so many rounds in a row, a lot of the times you build up some of that cushioning that you can end up using if the enemy team starts to win just a little bit more than you were expecting. So you can use it kind of as an economy booster if you end up saving enough of your utility and enough of that economy to put it towards another round here. We do see, like I said, Fraggleton here has a Vandal, although 100 credits. So we see, if they do end up winning this round, that was a successful buy on their part. Void getting a kill off camera onto Rebo as they try to push around the corner. They see another one there. He does backtrack. The boom bot goes down, although at this point they are so far away from that corner that he gets a free kill onto the boom bot there. The blastback goes around. He gets one. The ultimate is out. He goes around the corner. That's obviously going to secure a kill there. They're on top of heaven there. Fraggleton picks one up onto the sky, but Void follows it up onto Fraggleton. The spike is going to be planted here as the wall dissipates down. Ian gets a nice kill onto the Raze there. It is now a 1v2, just the Jet remaining. They turn it into a 1v1. The spike is theirs if they want to try and go for the defuse. They may be able to stick just the half of it. I'm unsure if they're going to end up peeking this corner here. They do, although they don't get enough damage there. It bounces off the wall and TN picks up that round. I think if that was placed well, they may have had a chance to get a kill.
Just really unfortunate with the corner there. He did not quite manage to make that Viper's Pit land.
I mean, so a lot of times with placement here, not only placement of where you are, but also placement of the utility that you end up using. We saw some of the utility earlier with the Raze coming out. The blast pack into the ultimate is something you'll see a lot, as you can really just jump around with it. It is a mobility, you know, it kind of just detains the amount of mobility that you have. Although with her blast pack, if you place it early enough, you can full send it onto site and possibly secure a kill, which we did end up seeing onto the Omen that round.
See, I think the issue with that round, though, was Phoenix definitely overheated. He did not need to throw that flash. You did not need to swing that corner, especially when you're in a 2v1. You want to back up, you want to regroup with your team, and you want to play for the spike. It looks like Phoenix is going to try to go with an ult. He does get shut down immediately, and it looks like he's going to back off the position. And from the looks of it, I don't think they are done with the B site. The trades are coming in. We are down to a 4v4. Soja managing to catch Jet to get that trade. And it looks like PNW is going to make it into the site. They are now up 4v2.
We see Ian make it around that corner. He picks one up onto the Raze as he starts to push slowly onto this B side. If he can get around before they rotate quickly enough, he could turn this into a scenario where he might end up winning. He gets one onto the sky. I'm not sure if he knows that the other one is there. Choku goes down, though his ultimate does remain. The recon bolt is destroyed, knowing that somebody else is there. He could try and pick up another kill onto the Phoenix there. They're unsure where to look right now. Ian, unknown if they might end up be peeking on to the ult there from the KO. He gets a nice flick there onto Soja. The ult goes down. He sees it was a perfect ricochet.
He played that perfectly. He knew all the information he needed. He knew where the players were standing. He knew what they were doing, and he is going to get the defuse, and he is going to get another round for Ball State, which is now 5-2 with a little bit of BMing in the after round.
Honestly, the competitiveness right now is just in the air. I think it's been in the air ever since the IU Purdue West Lafayette match. We saw it since the beginning. It was right at the end of the first round, Ball State versus PNW. We saw a little bit of it. I mean, when you're in such a scenario like this against other teams in Indiana, you can't help but you might let a few BMs slip every year.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Ball State's kind of known for it.
I mean, yeah, that's fair enough. Everybody,
everyone loves a little playful banter.
Yeah. As long as it doesn't get to a point where, it's a little disrespectful.
Yeah, no toxics.
Yeah,
no toxicity.
I mean, if it was something where you did it first, then absolutely it was deserved. I see nothing wrong with it. But if you're doing it every single round, that's a bit much.
Right. Little playful banter is fun, though. We like it. Looks like we're going to be sending a drone up. Void making use of that Sheriff yet again, taking another shot on the Omen, getting rid of the controller for Ball State. Phoenix is going to be pushing himself in. He does not get the frag, but Vlad using a Sheriff again, managing to take the headshot on Jet. And it looks like they're going to be playing retake with the KJ ult, and they're going to have to sit back, wait for PNW to get off site.
I really love what KJ has to bring to the table there. We saw her grenade on the ground there. It's something she can activate whenever she really feels like it. And although they get half of it, they are able to get half of the defuse there with the KJ ult. This could turn into a Ball State victory if they are able to just hold the site long enough. Ian gets a double kill. He turned around and gets a triple. Ian is taken down, but Joku finishes off the round. That was a beautiful play from Ian there.
You hate to see it. You really hate to see it. If he took his time on that frag there, he definitely would have been able to take him down, but unfortunately, the shots were just not hitting, and there was a little bit of a panic spray with the Sheriff, especially a little bit of an upset after watching 3 of their players manage to take down 3 with just the Sheriff alone.
Yeah, back to what I was saying with KJ, though. We can see it right here as she prepares to set up site. She can actually use this to her advantage and place things before the round, much like Astra can. And in that scenario where she was fighting against the Phoenix, we saw the grenade on the ground there, and they activated it as he jumped around the corner with the flash. Basically, he put himself in a scenario where, one, if he was taken out by a headshot, that was it. But they didn't even need that in the long run because he was taking damage by the grenade on the ground that the KJ had placed earlier, and then all KJ needed to do was get a single body shot, and that secured the kill there.
Right. Absolutely right. And it looks like right now we're going to be going into what looks to be an execute onto the site. They're clearing the angles of the dog, and the dog does manage to stun Omen. Omen goes down. Dorito making his way onto site with the blast packs. He is now clearing the site. We have the site cleared. Jet does manage to catch Sova, or not Sova, Soja off guard, getting a pick on him and backing up. The Sova ult does come in, taking down Phoenix, but Dorito gets the trade on Jet, and now we are into a 3v3 with a Viper ult in play.
We see the Rays get one onto Fraggles, and now Heaven is being contested by Ian there. We see the flashbang, although it doesn't flash him completely. A second flash goes out. Now both are off the table here. They do just barely peek the corner. We could see a possible ace scenario here, although Vlad picks up the final kill onto Choku and ends it there, taking the ace.
And there it is. The friendly banter has begun. Both teams are doing the BMing.
At this point in the game, it's very strongly encouraged to end up saving what you can in terms of utility. You need to start thinking, hey, it's 6-3. You know, they're winning around every now and then, which kind of hurts our economy just a little bit. And
well, especially with looking at how Ball State is in their situation right now, they do not have a lot of money and they do not have a lot of power going into this round. But they do have jet knives and they do have the power of the Sheriff, which has been painfully demonstrated by both teams throughout this match right now.
PNW has been absolutely utilizing that Sheriff to the max, and some might say that, heck, you could probably end up utilizing that in a save round. I'm unsure if it was used in a save round, an eco round scenario, although we have been seeing plenty and plenty of headshots from that Sheriff come out this game, regardless of what your primary is.
Right. Well, and especially that last round, PNW really needed to get that. It was going to reset their economy. It puts them in a better spot right now. It allows them to potentially put themselves back on the board, give themselves some time to catch up. And it looks like we're going to be coming in with a little bit. Both teams are playing very passively. Right now, I think that's honestly the type of play you want to make.
TN is just holding down the site with the ultimate there. This is where TN tends to shine, is with this ult from Jet there. They try to go for one and they boost right back around the corner. The ult now ending, having to rotate back around towards their team and rotating back towards Heaven, giving PNW full control of the site. Rocket Fuse is out. We may see a fuse through Heaven there. They see it fired and they get one onto Choku as they fire it through the wall and through Heaven there. Vlad picks up a second on a Fraggleton, making this a 3v5. Although all of Ball State's members are on the high ground there. TN gets one, although it's picked off by Rays. And then Ian and Rebo pick up two of their own, making this a 2v2, giving them relative control of the site there. Rebo gets another onto Soja. And at this point now, they need to start thinking, what can we do to hold this site? They may need to start shooting. Vlad gets one. They're sticking the defuse, and they get a second through the smoke, clutching the round.
And that's exactly what you expect from a good controller player. You have to have the clutch gene. You cannot sit back. You can't wait for nothing to happen. And it looks like we're about to have a timeout come in.
Yeah, after that round, I think I would definitely call a timeout too as well for Ball State. You need to start thinking of a game plan here as we are closing in the deficit between both of the scores here. Ball State still in the lead by a little bit. PNW closing in a little bit fast behind them. You're seeing a bit of adaptability coming out here from PNW, and that's not something I'm sure Ball State was expecting, and that's not something Ball State was ready for. And so we are seeing the timeout called here, which I imagine they're going to get a rundown of, hey, this is what we need to change, this is what we need to adapt to.
Probably going to put an op in play, honestly. They're going to have to combat it. PNW is playing extremely aggressively right now. And that is something that they have definitely recognized.
That's always the important. That's always the important thing, is hitting your shots.
Well, these Sheriff plays especially. I mean, we've been watching as they've just been demolishing with the Sheriffs. But that's been on both teams. Both teams have been utilizing them well.
I mean, the Sheriff, especially at such a high level, I expect nothing else. You might see
it's a scary weapon.
Yeah,
man.
I mean,
it's
you'll see something like you'll see something like the shorty every once in a while, possibly a judge. Although where these players shine is with precision. All you need to do, I mean, the first thing to getting better at this game is practice your aim. If you can hit headshots, you can succeed. The next thing to do to practice is just practice, first off, the agent that you love the most and, is in the meta at the time. And then the last thing you need to practice is teamwork and adjusting angle. As you say, the op does come out from Ball State's side here. TN picks up the op, holding down that site. We see the wall go through as well as the KJ grenade on the ground there. They're now trying to figure out, hey, is this safe to push? And I'm unsure what they're going to do. It seems like they're rotating closer through B there as they watch for a possible flank from Ball State's side.
Right. Well, and KO hasn't exactly left the A site either. They are fully anticipating that something may happen here, and both teams, as we have seen, are playing a little bit more passive. And I think that that's something that has been hindering Ball State a little bit with how aggressive PNW has been playing. But the util is coming in. They've got a little bit of information on what's going on, and it looks like that is where they are going to reassess their plan and come about it from a different angle. Omen using his TP to clear B main, now basically knowing the intentions of PNW, they're gearing up to get ready to defend the A site.
That is an incredibly strong use of the Omen ult there, is to use it more or less as an information gatherer, less of
That's kind of how you want to use it, honestly.
Yeah, because it allows you to both see where you want to go and also utilize it to try and move there at your own pace. TN does pick up one again onto Sky for 2 kills with that operator. Choku gets another onto Vlad, although Soja does trade with Choku here. The spike goes down. He gets a third as he quickly hears the rotating Omen. Ian gets another one, and now it is a 1v1.
He doesn't know where the last
He doesn't know where it is, though. He has to try and figure it out, but defenders win it off of time, and they finish it off with a kill that absolutely drains PNW's eco. You do not want to die regardless if you won or lost that round in that scenario based on time.
Right. Right. It was unfortunate timing. It was a really long round. Long rounds like that are kind of scary and they're kind of dangerous because once you get down to where the clock is ticking, all the enemy team has to do is stop you from planting the bomb, especially if you're on the attacker side. And once the bomb is prevented from being planted, you can sit back, run away, do whatever you want, and the round is just in your platter.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times what you'll end up seeing here is very similar to what we'll end up seeing a lot of times in these actual pro matches regardless. As I say, Ian does get one onto another ultimate from the Phoenix there. Ian gets a second onto Raze, which now puts it into a 4v4 as a trade does go out. He tries to crouch underneath him. He jumps up, he gets another. He tries to get a third, but he's traded. Choku gets 2. It is now a 3v1 here. They have to do something. They trade off for a stinger, although TN finishes up the round and gives the win to Ball State here.
Unfortunately, there were no bullets in that stinger. There were no bullets in that judge. And it's just a bad situation to be in as we are going on to what seems to be a half where we are now switching sides and PNW is going to be defending.
Something that we were talking about earlier, especially with information. Anything can be an information gatherer depending on how you look at it. And Phoenix ult could be one of those. Phoenix isn't exactly what you would think as an information gatherer, but if you use his ult, you can kind of jump around and, risk that life, and then teleport back to the safety of your teammates. And you can use what you saw, as a safe, just as information in general. If all you saw was one person, well, then you have to make the guess of, is there more, or was I just killed by the first person who ended up seeing me while the rest were around the corner? It's always with the mind games.
More so, Phoenix is a better way to utilize it is to use it as a throwaway life for your teammates to trade off of. And if you do manage to get in there and get a pick, you can easily overheat off of it and you're not going to take any flak. You're not going to take any damage. We do have some trades coming in where we are now down to 4v4 and Rebo is going to pick up a frag on Vlad and now they're going to push into the A site and they now Void catching Fraggleton and TN catching Void. They are now, with Ball State, at 3 players and PNW living with 2.
Yeah, with the sides now flipped, Ball State is put into another potential to try and drag this out as fast as possible. If Ball State can end up succeeding in these pistol rounds, I'm not sure if PNW has enough time to possibly succeed in getting enough eco to actually slow down Ball State like they were with the full round.
Whoa!
Although, as I said,
right
quick
with a
jump
classic.
off of Heaven.
Quick's almost taking Jet down, and it is completely doable for Harbor to win this round, but Tien is not going to let that happen as he does shut down Soja with a headshot.
Ball State's pistol rounds are something to be afraid of, especially when they are on assault. Ball State was not for backing down and not for playing this slowly, especially in a scenario where they are trying to get as much of a lead and as much as a cushion as possible against PNW. We know that they are capable of taking Ball State down in a few rounds, so what Ball State's trying to do here is try to gain as much momentum as they can before PNW gets enough eco of their own to try and have a chance of clashing with Ball State.
You're absolutely right. And what we're looking at is Sky is going to get a little bit of intel from the B site, and now PNW has what they can seem to think, at least there is somebody lurking around outside of B. Both teams are playing extremely passively. That's how you want to play rounds like these, especially when you have weapons and the other team does not.
Yeah, the shorty is now out, and you could use that less of you lose precision, but what you gain is incredible close encounter damage. So if you're trying to go for range, you may not do that, but what Viper brings to the table is a bunch of smokes and a bunch of walls, so you can use that to your advantage and hide right behind it. Once they push through it, bam, they don't even have a chance to try and go for a headshot, and that can secure you an easy pick, and possibly with the second bullet, it may secure you two if they try to trade your bomb.
Right, and it looks like Ball State is realized that PNW is on the B site and they're going to start making their way to the other site. PNW is giving a little bit of a trade right now, or not a little bit of a trade, a little bit of a rotate, and they're making their way through. And Viper and KJ are going to battle each other here. Ooh, we got the shorty versus a Vandal. And when you're close range, that's a fight that you do not want to take. KJ rightfully so backed off of that. TN does take down Quicks, and Ball State now has control of the A site.
This is a scenario you were in last round, and it's not where you want to be. Fragmented picking up two quickly back-to-back. Vlad does pick up a retrade onto Fragmented, although there's not much you can do there with the shorty in terms of playability in the rest of this round. And as we see it, Rebo finishes it off with the Guardian there. And now Ball State is pulling ahead away from PNW. Only 3 rounds to go here.
Right. Well, now PNW is going to actually have some money. So what we are expecting is, well, so as we see, Ball State was rotating a little bit. They're definitely playing a really, really good default as far as attacker side goes. And right now, PNW is just going to have to adapt. I think one of the disadvantages that they are at right now is having I don't want to consider Phoenix to be a bad duelist. It's just me personally, I don't think he's very effective.
I think there's a better option, especially for this map in particular.
There are better options.
If you wanted to play somebody with Flash, I don't know if a Phoenix paired with a Sky is the greatest idea. You can use it more personally, as we've been seeing from Void in this game, although it doesn't, I'm not sure if it has worked out in his favor as much as he has wanted it to. He tries to throw it around corners like that and peek it, although what he ends up doing is just wasting that utility, and all he gains is just information that, hey, the site is still cleared by us and we don't have to worry about it yet.
Yeah, and it's hard to gain information with Phoenix. I guess really the best way that you could play a character like that is to just shut your brain off, flip the switch, flash in, and just push.
I like the shut the brain off. That's a great.
That's how you play Phoenix.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, I mean, there's some thought that goes into it, but realistically, you're just supposed to be a frag cannon.
I mean, once again, Ball State now with full control of a site. They're going to get the spike down here with 30 seconds left, which now puts the timer on PNW's side. We are going to see the Sky use the scout to try and gain a bit of information, although hiding right behind that wall may have not been a great idea, as there was little to gain in front of him, and all they knew was Ian was in that corner. Fraggleton gets one, Vlad retrades onto Ian, although Rebo and Fraggleton pick up 3 of their own. Void tries to retrade, although TN finishes it off, and now Ball State only needs 2 more to go.
And from the looks of it, I believe PNW might be, looks like they still got some money. They got a little bit of money, but it doesn't look to be a lot.
I mean, we've seen this already. We've seen this before. When you're kind of this close to losing it, especially and losing it all, because this is the losers bracket.
Right.
You can't really risk to go eco. You do have one more round to maybe try and save up. We did see this from Ball State earlier against IU. They used one round to try and gain a bit of eco, and they actually used that to go, like, I believe maybe 6 or 5 extra rounds into it before they were eventually shut down by by IU just saving up enough utility of their own to, put a stop to the train. All they needed was one round. But is that the risk you want to take for PNW? You could go for a save round here and try to go full train through the rest of Ball State, the rest of the round, and risk, if they win one round, it's over. Or you could try and just spend what you've got and maybe try and secure a few rounds early on and maybe build a bit of eco while spending it. So all you're really spending it on in the long run is your I blanked on it. You can continue. I blanked on it.
It's all right. You know what? It is really. It's late at night.
It's late and I'm tired. Yeah, I've been doing this for 2 days.
Same with the players. Everyone's been tired. When the break hit, I'm pretty sure everybody was slumped all around the entire
I know I took a nap.
I took a nap too, man. My suit jacket was over my face. But enough of that. We now have Jet dashing into the side. Boyd does catch her, and he does get caught, and Vlad takes 2. Choku trading him out, and now Ball State is at 2 players remaining. The judge comes through, and Soja spamming his already defeated body on the ground with the judge. The dog is going to try to get some information, and they now know that he is A main, and the PNW is going to have to get this last pick, last frag. The flash comes in, and it looks like we're doing a little bit of healing here before we go and take this initial pick. Realistically, you just want to play this together. You don't want to give him anything. You don't want to drop him anything. And for KO here, what he wants is to get more frags. He may just back away and save, though. It's a tough call to make.
I mean, what you want to do is hurt their economy any more than it already has been. Although what they have done in the long run there is keep 3 members with their weapons, which all it does is just allow them to just purchase utility, which does keep a few members of PNW's economy in the green there. Although the rest of them that did end up dying are going to have to spend a bit more than they may like to. And that's kind of what happens in the end of the rounds there. If you can pick up a kill, even though you'll lose that round, you could hurt their economy, which may, that will most likely help you in the long run as you progress through the rounds, especially this late into the game.
Well, it looks like what PNW is starting to do here is they're starting to make use of the mid. They're trying to cut them off and give them less of a chance to have these rotates, because it seems that that's what Ball State likes to do. I mean, right now they're centraled around what looks to be the B side. Jet is going to be caught in the KO knife, and they're going to continue to creep their way up. It looks like we're getting ready to throw some util. Omen with a little bit of a lurk going on. We do have 2 smokes down on B, but we got the Viper pit to prevent the push into the site, and Ball State is a little bit hesitant to continue pushing in to...
All Vlad needs is 1 kill for the ultimate to be theirs, and with the judge in hand, it is very easy to just chill around the corner to go for that kill. As I say that, we see Dorito go around a corner and get a kill on TN of their own.
He's got 2!
To get a second, although Ian trades 2 on his body, leaving this in a 3v3. So, I mean, I'm not sure, was that, you got 2 kills there, although, well, as I say that, Vlad now puts it in PNW's favor. It was pretty even there, although they do have pretty good control of sight there as they look away from the flash. Soja gets one of the choke, it's now 1v2 here, although Ian does have his ultimate, which if he ends up saving it, that will give Ball State 3 ultimates for these rounds upcoming.
Well, and now he's going to have to break the door to get into sight, which unfortunately he does not have enough bullets to do, and he's going to have to give up his position and now get the bomb down. PNW with a little bit of an advantage here on the 2v1. They're going to have to play this together.
He may end up using a bit of utility there. They jump off, although he cannot secure the kill onto the Viper, which allows this guy to push around the corner and finish the kill onto Ian. A lot of BM, that's a lot of BM. Oh my goodness.
The tension is high right now between
They were proud of that one.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely we're starting to enter the late gamer hours of the night, where teams are getting a little more passionate about staying in and getting knocked out.
This is what we saw earlier from IU, although Ball State is now in their shoes, something where they are at risk of a possible PNW comeback, although what Ball State has that they may not in the long run is utility. If Ball State can end up using their ultimates, they may be able to use them just enough to actually secure them 2 rounds. If you can end up doing that, well, the game is over. And as we see, we have Fraggleton here, we have TN with their ult, we see Ian with his, we see now the Viper ult down. So we could see a possible KJ to try and counter it and get the Viper out of the ult there and try to reclaim the site as the majority of Ball State's team tries to get control of the mid ground here. We see the Omen and Phoenix on the same side, the Harbor there as well. Ball State is trying to get as many picks as possible here to try and secure a site and get them the momentum to win this round.
And it looks like Ball State is going to try to make their way into the spawn here. They're working their way up slowly. The flash comes in. He did play anti, but unfortunately did not catch it. They are now going to spam the smoke as they make their way towards A. But Void is there, and he catches 2 off guard. And Soja catches Jet in heaven, catching another one. Oh my gosh. PNW manages to shut them down. Quick's getting the last one on Shoku, and they are not ready to go home yet.
That was an ultimate defeat for Ball State in that scenario. We saw the potential that they got the pick they needed, and we did see that they did get a little bit of wasted utility that round for PNW. We saw the Viper ult go down with really nothing to show for it, as well as the Phoenix ultimate, although as he didn't die using it, it didn't really gain him any information or anything at all, leaving only the Harbor and the Raze ult to counteract against the Killjoy Omen and the Sova ult. So we could see a possible use of either utility in this scenario to hold down site. Ball State is now trying to hold as much as possible. We see the KJ try to get up. The TN is now jumping across, trying to catch Sova off guard. We see the wall go down to hold down that choke point there. They're trying to rotate and try to control a site. This is all Ball State needs to do right now, is get control of a site, and they will most likely have the utility to hold it for the time they need to.
Right, and it looks like Ball State is going to center towards A. They do catch the pick on Void, which is really unlucky timing, especially since we've been seeing these Sheriffs go flying every single round. And it looks like Ball State is going to walk into a site. Soja does manage to get the trade on Jet, and we are now looking at a 4v4. The showstopper comes in, taking down 2. Fraggleton taking down Quicks. We are now looking at PNW at an advantage. The nade is going into hell. At this point, you just gotta let the nade do its damage, do its work. And now, yep, there it goes, the Pit Viper. Viper managing to take them down with the molly, but they do not know where KJ is. KJ could be anywhere on the map.
The smoke is down, giving them full control of the site there, although the Raze closes it out. The utility coming out from PNW here is just securing them victories and securing them site, more importantly. Ball State is having to try and fight against the full assault of PNW, using as much as they can here. And PNW is building up momentum that Ball State may not have the economy in the long run to end up winning against.
Right. Well, and as we can see as well, KJ now actually has her ult in session, and they could potentially use that to get themselves into a site to secure another round. It looks like Ball State is going to be centraling towards the A site here. They're going to be working their way up. We've got some mollies going up over towards A. Ooh, that's actually nice. That's a nice molly up there in heaven. Nice lineups. You love to see them. You kind of need them. Then KO is taken down, but the site is still in the hands of BSU. Soja does take down another, and he's going to try to take one more. He takes down Omen, and now he's sitting tucked back in hell as the rest of the team comes by to come save him and pull him out of such a sticky situation.
If I was Ball State right now, I would be calling a timeout. Yep,
there it is.
Yep. We're seeing another timeout from Ball State here as PNW begins to climb back up the ranks here. We could possibly see a comeback on our hands from PNW. Ball State having to try and fight back against the full assault of what PNW has to offer. They know that they are low. They know that they have the risk of going home, and they are not going to let it happen without a fight.
Right, absolutely. Well, and what we're seeing right now is PNW's adaptivity. And once they switched sides and got to the other, they are on defending right now. Ball State is on attacking. It seems that PNW is really playing their cards right, which is kind of weird considering the fact that, you know, with what PNW has, I would consider that to be more of an offensive team, but the Harbor Viper duality there definitely gives them playability on both sides.
Yeah, and what we have right now is Ball State's utility trying to fight against their utility. They can try to take site. They can try to get as many picks as they want. The scoreboard is on Ball State's side, although the usage of utility and the possibility of winning rounds is not on their side right now. The economy is not on their side, and they're trying their hardest to try and build up that momentum. Once again, they're trying to come up with a new strategy, trying to adapt to what PNW has to bring to the table. They're going to try and it seems like they're going for more of a save round here with a few sheriffs, and I do believe a Vandal coming out from Ian there. So they're going to have to try and fight against a PNW that has the economy to spare there. They know that he's possibly in the corner, although
he does get the two-piece.
They don't see him, and Void gets two of them now. They're having to look through that wall. He's backing off the
angle and getting out, and that's exactly what you want. You want Ball State to have the player disadvantage. You want to push them back, and you want to play passive off that. And Vlad pushing them out with the molly. Unfortunately, Void does get traded by Choku. Quick's taking down Rebo, and it is up to Choku to be the clutch god of this round. With only a sheriff in hand and low HP, Dorito does take him down, putting PNW at 10-11, pushing the comeback even further.
Yeah, at this point, I'm unsure what Ball State needs to do to take the lead here. They have the utility in their back pocket.
They've been holding this KJ ult for almost the entire half.
They have the utility. They just need to find a good place to use it. They do not want to waste a possibility to build up that momentum. If they misplace the KJ ult and they end up losing the round, that may be it, and they may be sent home in that scenario. We could see a possible overtime here if they get too far. If they do end up going 12-12, we will see that overtime come into place, and then that's really where you have to shine. You get a bunch of economy to spend on whatever you like. And that's where, really where you see these teams shine. That's really where you go into the practice range.
You don't want to be in line with that Sova drone, especially when there's a wall that they could shoot through. No! He pushed up a little too far. He got a little too confident, and now BSU is now at the advantage in players.
Yeah, they also have the advantage of being spread out compared to PNW now being stuck between two sites here. If Ball State can keep control of that mid while also controlling one of the sites, it's very possible that they may have to deal with whoever is in mid, and they may have to deal with them too long to the point where they won't actually be able to defuse in the long run, regardless of if they get enough kills. The kills does get down. It forces them either to stay up on the top left there of Heaven or to stick inside of it and get detained. Ball State now having full control of the site with the Killjoy finishing up there. They're going to have to rotate, although TN is very much ready for them. The Sova ult does catch Void as he flanks around. Soja does end up getting TN in the middle there. They're having to now fight against PNW. The spike is now being planted, and they are going to have to figure out how to rotate around this to get through Ball State's defensive line here.
And Omen is saving his paranoia, getting ready to shoot it onto Heaven. They know that there are 3 people there. Unfortunately, he does not have a lot of HP. There's a nade coming out, and the util is flying. We have an Arbor ult that is going to push players out of position, and now we have players hiding in hell, but that does not matter as BSU completely ignores the ult and takes down a majority of PNW's team, leaving it up to Dorito to try to clutch this game for PNW.
He's now sandwiched between the entirety of Ball State's team. They get one. He's still sandwiched between 2 of them. He has to decide where to fire. I'm not sure if he knows where to look. He does not. And Fraggleton and Ian sandwich him together, and they pick up a victory that they have not seen in quite a long time here. Ball State just needs one more to secure it all. They have Omen's ult on their side, and PNW now has to utilize that money that they've been saving, that cushion that I've been talking about earlier, to go with it. We see an operator coming out here from the Rays, and we may see a use out of Ball State's now saved up money. They may go full out here in the round.
Well, it looks like they're setting up for a split here because they're going to have to try to pull PNW off of one of these sites. They're going to want to get in there and take this. Soja does do a little bit of damage to the wall, and by a little bit, I mean a lot of it, because Omen is not looking good right now, and he is going to retreat out of there, pushing himself away further. TN does catch Void off guard, and now they are pushing into the A site, which looks to be just about free for them. They know that somebody's hiding in hell. Quicks does not catch him. He catches him with a dink through the wall, and now it is up to the last 3 remaining players of PNW to try to keep this game alive.
Ball State now in a 5v3. They have full control over the site. They're going to have to use as much utility as they have to fully push Ball State off of this site. They are detected up on Heaven there. They know that it's just the Viper now. They get the recon bolt down, but it does scan them before too late. They're back up there. They're trying to figure out what's going to happen. Vlad does get one onto TN. Dorito gets a second onto Ian. Fraggleton picks one up onto Dorito. It's now a 2v2. Soja gets one onto Choku. Fraggleton gets one, and then the round is secured. PNW.
But does he have time? Oh, no, he doesn't. Oh, he has time. He has just enough time to defuse the bomb. PNW is not going home yet, and we have a possible chance at overtime with only 0.51 seconds left on that defuse. This match is insane. PNW is not ready to go home, and Ball State does not want to give them the opportunity to come back. But now PNW has 2 ults in their favor, and BSU does not have a lot of money going into this next round.
That was heartbreaking to see. 0.51 left
0.51
on the diffuser. Now the economy is completely in PNW's favor. All we can see from PNW now here is an overtime push. But if they do end up pushing them into overtime, that will give Ball State all the economy they need to possibly push PNW into a deficit to where Ball State can end up taking this in the long run. Although PNW, we don't know what we can see from them with full economy either. So this may end up going in their favor as well. It's going to be a complete clash.
We have no clue where this game is going to go, and it's only getting grimier as it continues to push on. And now what PNW essentially needs to do is just not make a mistake. That's all they have to do.
One round. That's all they need. And then it goes straight to overtime where they will go into a toss-up. They need 2 rounds to end up securing the lead there. Fraggleton is trying to hold that as much as possible. The operator is aiming in the exact same spot there. Ball State is trying to make a push onto the site here. They're going to have to try and get control of the site much like they did last time. If they can do that, then they may end up ultimately succeeding in this round here. Fraggleton and TM push onto the round here. They get one. The operator just barely misses, and Fraggleton ends up securing the site. Ball State now knows that it's in their favor. TN gets another one onto Quick. He finishes a third onto Soja. They now know he flashes around that corner. He knows that he's there. Can he get another one? He cannot. Void trades onto TN now. It's a 4v2. PNW needs to fight as hard as possible here as Ball State makes a quick rotate around. It's now a 4v1. 10 seconds on the clock. They're going to need to get the spike down. Viper is put in an absolutely heartbreaking position here. They're going to have to fight against all of Ball State to put this into overtime. The spike is down. The clock is ticking. They're trying to make a push onto side here. They get it, but Rebo and Ian sandwich them together and send PNW packing.
I'm not crying, you are. That's very unfortunate. It was a really, really, really good game. It is sad to see PNW go home, but even better for Ball State. They get to continue fighting on. I know they're your school. I'm not going to say anything.
I mean, that was it.
Just give me a second. Just give me a second. All right, so anyway.
All right,
so that was our match.
Back to it, baby.
It was a good match from PNW, a valiant effort. That was very, very entertaining. It was a great comeback. Unfortunately, they were not able to make it work. I definitely think that with 2 ults on the board and when they had that push, the initial push into B, instead of trying to fight with the op there, Raze definitely should have popped her showstopper and tried to take a couple players there. But it just did not work out for her.
It seemed like they were rotating through their utility, trying to guess if Ball State was going to end up pushing, but they pushed just a little bit too fast, and they were having to chamber that op, and they just had too little time to line up a perfect shot there, and it was going completely off of muscle memory. It ended up missing, and in that scenario, Ball State had control of 2 sites. They rotated back towards A to get the plant down, but it worked so well in their favor that they rotated through mid, and they were able to take out the second of PNW's remaining members, putting it into a 1v4.
Right. All right. Well, we are going to be going into Ball State versus Purdue next, and we are going to be pushing forward into the losers finals. So don't go anywhere because the matches are not over yet.
We'll
be right back after a break.
We're in the brackets.